the prophets. I believe we still have that at the back of our mind. If you still want to go through that session, it's a very powerful one. Yeah, okay, now it's ready. It's on the group. Kindly go through it. But now we want to today. We are going to start on the Seers. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone joining us this evening, and I will thank the conveyor once again, Bro Yomi. God bless you, sir, and everybody listening to me. Last week we talked about the prophets and the seers, and mainly it was on the prophet last week. Then we made mention of who a prophet is, their mode of operation, some specific assignment, citing some examples, some qualities that we can see in them. Then dangers, we round up at the dangers that is related to the prophetic. So today I will not take much of our time, and I want to go over the seers. I just want to say one or two things about the seers. One thing that I will first point out about the seers is a Bible verse that I want us to. It is simply written just for us to understand this, and that is 1 Samuel 9:9. 1 Samuel chapter 9 verse 9. I'll be using the Amplified Bible, and it was written this way. In the past, in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, he will say, "Come, let us go to the seer." In the past, in Israel. So they said, it was written as this: "Come, let us go to the seer. For who is called a prophet today was formerly called a seer." That's how the verse was written in 1 Samuel 9:9, Amplified. So what I first want us to understand is that a seer is a prophet. A seer is a prophet. A seer is also a prophet. So I want us to get that first. But not all prophets are necessary, are called or are specifically or have let me put it that way, that yes. Then I'll explain what I mean. When we talk about a seer, which is also a prophet, please don't forget. These are the people God's chosen, or the one that God called, that they have the ability to see. They have the ability to see spiritual insight, supernatural insight, to see what is on earth, what it is in, what is heavenly realm, through the place of intimacy with God. They have this, what is peculiar with the seers, they have this pictorial view, as in visual. They have visual, pictorial view of what God wants to do. That attribute is specific to the seers. They see the visual or the pictorial of what is going to happen, what they want to see, and other. I would not want to derail too much, but in the secular world, an ordinary person that can, people have different gifts and all that can just tell you, just talk and, give you an insight, a kind of forecast, some people are analytical, understand what I mean, that when you tell them one or two things, they can just say, okay, this, or maybe they are predictive and all that. In that sense, some will call them, that person, if you tell him this or this, he knows what will happen and all that. In that sense, to them, you can liken it to the discussion that we're having. But, this is a spiritual context. This is a spiritual context. So, one thing that I still want to say again is that a seer is a prophet. But not those prophets are necessarily a seer. A seer, they have this supernatural insight. They have this spiritual insight to see the intention of God, to see what God wants to do, maybe now, maybe in the future, or however God permits them to see it. Then I will make some how the prophet and the seer, how they are interrelated, and the prophet, especially in the Old Testament. If you look at Prophet Isaiah, and when God was, when it was written as God was, it was called. One thing that I want you to understand, because last week we discussed about some prophets, those that can hear, those that speak, those that see and talk with God and all that. So, using Prophet Isaiah as an example, in that Isaiah says, he was speaking, he was seeing it, he was seeing at first, it was seen, he was seeing, he explained everything. The prophet explained everything he saw. Then he gets to a point. There was communication. It was being talked to. Then he was responding. It was being talked to before he was sent a message. So one thing I want us to understand is that in that sense, he's seeing the visual, the pictorial. That makes what a seer is, which is also a prophet. Another thing that I want us to understand is that we know of Prophet Daniel. We know him for he can translate or know the meaning of any dream and literature. So we know that he prays, see dreams, get dreams and all that. But one thing, the specific quality of being a seer there, let me point out, is when he had a dream, of that gigantic statue. And the peculiarity of what I'm specifying that area as a seer is this. The statue as at that time that God showed him was not only for the time, was not only for 1,000 years, was not even only when Jesus came, as in maybe it was just a thing to happen, an event to occur, and Jesus will come to fulfill, and that will be the end. I don't know, maybe you understand what I'm trying to say that way. The event that God showed Prophet Daniel as a seer in that context transcend even beyond now, the present, because as time goes by and the dream was being interpreted or the vision was being interpreted, we know that some of the things that happened was the supremacy tussle between nations, which is still happening till now. I don't know, maybe I should just break it down so that you understand what I'm trying to say by saying that the vision as a seer transcend this time. The simple explanation or supremacy tussle of the implication of that statue was that, okay, after Nebuchadnezzar, we have Persia, Media, the Iranians now. Then after that time, the power shifted to the power shifted. Then so after the Roman Empire, the Alexander the Great, all of us, or I will say that historians, as in biblical scholars and historians, put all this together, explaining that same vision through Alexander the Great, then back to the Egyptians, then we have the Roman Empire scattered into the Europeans, then we have the Americans now. So the vision, the pictorial image that God allowed him to see that time, transit the time, and what he was seeing, the position he was operating in that biblical chapter was as a seer. Don't forget, he's also a prophet. But one thing is specific, is peculiar to the seers. They see, they have this supernatural spiritual insight to see the visual representation. Another thing I will say is this: we maybe in our daily lives we've come in contact with one or two prophets, pray and all that. Why some prophets might be telling you some things as how they are feeling it, how the presence of God is directing them and all that. We also see some instances, when Saul, the son of Kish, was looking for the lost donkey. Yeah, donkey. That should be First Samuel 2. He was looking for the donkey and met with Samuel, Prophet Samuel. Then you see, when Prophet Samuel was describing some things, describing the subsequent event that will happen to him, he was telling Saul as if he already passed through, the exact thing. And what do I mean by that? He said something as, you see, the donkey, sheep that you are looking for is already found. Don't look for it again. Pass this way. When you are going home, on your way home, you will meet 3 persons. One will give you this, another will give you this, the third person will give you this. And after that, go to this place. And after that, wait for me 7 days. And after that, I will tell you what to do. And that is exactly what happens. That is exactly what happens. It was not until, let me say that, the prophet was in spirit, as we physically see. I know you understand what I mean by that statement. But he was telling him from that spiritual insight, he was seeing the visual representation of the event that is to happen. And there's accuracy that comes with the prophetic. Don't forget, a seer is also a prophet. Why God called and other ministries under the prophet? We have different gifts. And as more as I can relate on this course, I will say that being a seer is a part in the prophetic. So that does not, the prophetic is not limited. That is what brings the conclusion of what I'm saying, that a seer is a prophet, but not all prophet is a seer. We can see some context like Prophet Habakkuk, Ezekiel. These 2 prophets were mentioned to be watchmen. It was written in their books as watchmen over Israel. And one thing I will say is this, even to bring it down on the physical level, you cannot be a watchman over a place and you will not be able to, to see. Let's talk this physically now. To be a watchman over a thing, let's say it in physical sense, you must be, it's a must to see. I mean, maybe you are just watching a thing, you should be able to see the top, the beneath. You understand what I'm saying that way. So that does not limit the position that they are. Being a watchman also makes you a seer, but it is not limited to that. So that is why I'm saying that a seer is a prophet, but not all prophets are limited to being a seer. Why we can have prophet that has the ability or be a seer, then more we have some that a prophet that may not be a seer, then have many other authority, peculiarity as given by God under the prophetic. And okay, let me still say some church set. Let me talk about the church settings that we have now, and I will say that let's talk about. When I was young, I used to attend CNS, Kiruba and Seraphim and all that, and I'll use an example now. In the Kiruba and Seraphim, there's a setting, just like Baptist, RA, and all this kind of stuff. So the same way, when it comes to CNS, there's a section for the prophet. Now, they used to say it is in Yoruba, but I will put it this way in English. They will say the prophets, the dreamers, and the seers. All of us are Yoruba, just interpret it. You understand what it means like that. The section is that aspect in the church setting is the prophets, the seers, and the dreamers. And the church prophet, the mature, the priest, the oldest prophet will be the head. Why they know that a seer does not take the position of a dreamer, and a dreamer does not take the position of, but the person that heads the unit is the prophet. When they will be having a meeting, is the prophet. Whenever they are having a program, is the prophet that will be the head. That is always the head. I came from that setting, so unless it has changed, of which I know, I don't think it will happen. So that is how it is being done. You have the prophet, the seer, and the dreamers. And you see, as at that time, when we are in the church program, you can easily differentiate these people. This is how it happens. I'm just using this as a case study. Just for us to understand. If you want to be a dreamer, if you are in a church and just like we have time for offering and all that, so during the service protocols too, they have time for dreamers. So what they do within 30 minutes is that, do you have maybe you consulted God in prayer and God showed you anything? If you have a dream, so you stand up, you tell the whole church. So another set, which are the seers, are the ones that maybe when during the church program they were singing spiritual songs and all that, and the person, then tells the person will be operating, you know what I mean, that physical so they be telling exactly what he's saying and all that, what he's saying, being beside the person, and then now is subordinate, just to write everything that the person has been, like the CI saying, put everything. And in the end, will be the prophet, will be the one to pray, will be the one to interpret and every other thing. So I'm just using that set to explain, to explain that a seer is a prophet, but that being a seer is not limited. It's not limited in the prophetic. So you can be a prophet, you can be a seer, you are a prophet. Fine. Now you can be a seer, then you can be much more other things. A watchman, we have seers, we have watchmen, we have proclaimers of God, of God's words. We have messengers and all that. Okay, if another prophet that Prophet Samuel, before any other name that he was being called throughout, he was first called a seer before a prophet. But don't forget the beginning, the context that we read from the Bible, which was the first Samuel 9:9. They said in the past, a seer is also a prophet. But as it was written that time in the Bible, the likes of Prophet Samuel, they were noted as a seer before being called a prophet. I will say, for an instance now, and the greatest prophet, the one that preceded Jesus Christ, which John, everybody knows, John the Baptist. As we know what we read, even in the literary meaning, everything written, broken down spiritually, was never, there's no point that it was being said that as great as it was never stated that it was a seer. Yet it was the greatest of the prophet. And one thing I want to note here is that one is a prophet, and what he does, the capacity, the authority that God gave him was to be a proclaimer of God's words. Because it was not that came that, oh, Jesus is coming, this, it will be this, it will be this, it has breathed in this way. I don't know, maybe we are getting what I'm trying to say. So, Sinner is a prophet, but it is not limited. The prophetic is not limited to be a seer. So therefore, there's all seers are prophets, but not all prophets are seers. We can also see another example that I want to take out from the Bible. When they were rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem, during the time of Nehemiah, so the completion got to a point, so they gathered the people again. They said they should worship, pray, I think for like 7 days and all that. I've forgotten the name of this prophet. So the man told the prophet that he should take the scroll, he should sit at the topmost part of the just like it was an open ground that it was written, like an open ground. The prophet should read, like the prophet will read the word of God, and so the prophet was acting, or the authority there was the proclaimer of God. We have John the Baptist, we have just like the prophet that I mentioned, and much more. So a prophet, a seer, they are much alike, which is in the sense that a seer is a prophet. But not all prophets, not all prophets are seers. But one thing that you know is that it has been a thing that it is, especially nowadays, for you to become a prophet, you must chance. So it has become in the church, maybe in church now, I would say that it has become a thing that, in fact, the first quality that to prove that you're a prophet is to be a seer. So it is not limited to that, but all seers are prophets. So that's a point to prove it. We can see that Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel all saw visions of God, God's throne, in which they look upon God himself and learn profound truth about his nature and intentions to woman. And I explain again. Daniel famously is here. So, saw powerful visions of the end times and the climatic event of the nation, the power also, the supremacy, which is still happening now. If we break down or go and read the dream of Daniel about the giant statue, till now, we can go and do a simple assignment on it. The present country that is and being the power household of the world now is the US. But if you can just take just 5 minutes to check this meaning of what I'm saying, is that they say, okay, Egypt, Alexander the Great, blah, 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 and they break it down. So that's one thing about this. Everything that he saw, he explained them. The head, the chest, maybe the bronze, it was made with clay, and explain all of these things as a meaning. So, is that those seers, they have the supernatural insight, the spiritual insight. To see visuals is just like seeing somebody is watching videos. That's more specific and peculiar to the seers. It's just like when you are watching video, you can come back and narrate and tell us what you see, even 10 years time, unless somebody has forgotten. I don't know, maybe you are getting. So that's one thing that is peculiar that we all know about the seers. They tell you the visual, the pictorial things, and tell you exactly how it is. But I will keep saying this at the point that the prophet is not limited to being a seer. Prophets could be watchman, could be messenger, could be proclaimer of words, and much more. So, the thing is, for seers, God gives them message of what they hear and what they see. That is just what prophet does too. But seers, they are there, mentally, intellectual picture, visual message, spiritual discernment. So that part is peculiar to them, to the seers. They see all these things as if in the physical, to be watching, just like we watch things, videos on phone or something like that, and just for you to come back and say, this is exactly how it is. So that is how whether they are in the spirit or they are just telling us this. That's how they tell the intentions of God. That's how they pass their own message from God. So I will not want to waste much time. I don't know, maybe by now we have or we understood the difference and the similarity. And what I will say is that there's no much thing to say about maybe just some things. All of everything that we talked about last Sunday, what the prophet does, quality of prophets, maybe the fast, their worshippers and all that. These are the things, because don't forget, the seer is a prophet. These are the things that seers does too. If you check the quality, the danger that is related to the seers and to the prophet, you see all those things with the seers too. But to simply put, note that First Samuel chapter 9 verse 9 is that seers are prophets. seers are prophets, but not all prophets are limited to being a seer. There are much more gifts. There are much more authority. There are much more offices to operate in as given by God. So this is how seers and prophets are related. And if one will say that how we can still differentiate them is the peculiarity or the specialty with having the visual image, the visual messages. So that is one thing that is peculiar to them. So this is a brief message that I have on the seers as compared to the prophet that we discussed last week. Brother Misa, you can feel now?
All right, sir. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Can
sir.
we hear me,
Can hear
please?
you, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
all right. Please let me know when you can't hear me. Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for expounding very profoundly onto us what the prophetic entails. You taught us about